This is the Lime Flavored Network. This show is brought to you by Trisha's Bakery at trishasbakery.com.
This is the greatest show online! Episode 2. What?
Yeah. I was agreeing with you.
Episode 2. Being recorded on the sometime in April 2013. April 5th. April 5th.
Yep.
I'm DJ Allen.
I'm that cool Bob guy.
And we are having slightly technical difficulties. No, we're having technical difficulties. We can't get Bob's lower third to work, so this lower third is going to disappear periodically throughout the show as I put funny stuff up. So those of you actually watching the video will get something humorous to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming up. I don't know what's wrong with it. Those technical difficulties that you were talking about.
Yeah, it happens. I'm not tremendously worried about it. I see that I'm sitting in front of some of my props. I had intended for more of my props to be visible.
Nice props.
Yeah. For those not new to the show or my network, there's a Manchester United scarf right there and a Manchester United hat.
Yeah.
Betrayal at House on the Hill. Good game. And as I just described to Bob, Arkham Horror.
They both sound pretty cool.
They are. And I know I was scaring the bejesus out of you from Arkham Horror, but we really did take about 5.5 hours to set up, play the game, and tear down. So I mean, it was a task.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what another one I found takes a long time to set up?
What's that?
HeroScape. You ever heard of that one?
Maybe. I might have that.
The little hexes, and the hexes like link together like puzzle pieces, and you can stack them up, and you can like make this massive thing. And just bring it to me. Sorry, that's white. We're live on the air right now.
And we're unscripted, folks.
She was actually supposed to come in when I gave her the cue of, and my wife, and then she's supposed to open up the door and come running in. Like, yes?
Yeah.
Ah, thank you, lady.
Did you just call her lady?
Yeah, because she's a lady.
Oh, okay.
I will talk to him later. I have a question.
I have an answer.
Okay. You recognize this book, yes?
I own that book, yes.
You own this book. Now, are you currently playing the vampire game?
Not this very moment, but I have played that vampire game.
Okay. Well, the thing I was wondering about is this. Whether you'd be willing to try playing a game with Bob over this.
Fuck yeah, G.I. Joe.
We can do the old character creation on here because it's been a long time since I played. I bought the books. You know that look the books get when you don't open them or you just barely go through them at all? How crisp they are right across here. Yeah, look at that. It's one solid piece.
Us in the comics industry call that mint condition.
It's minty. Minty, yes. Fresh.
So wait. Would I run it or would you run it?
Would you run it? Just to get me going on it. Even if it's like a couple one-shots or whatever. Just to get me like back in the groove.
Now, you have gamed with me. Have I ever run a one-shot?
No, no, no.
I
Or
have
an
a
extended
problem.
short shot.
I have a problem, Bob, and I've put this out on whichever I put this out on the air at some point. My
Mhm.
problem is I can't do one shots. I have this epic problem. I build this gigantic epic story that gets so unwieldy that if anybody leaves the game, it throws everything into the fan and shit flies everywhere.
You are like me. We build worlds.
Yes.
The way that a normal role-playing game works, you're sailing across the water, and there's an iceberg. And the iceberg is just an iceberg floating on top of the water. Well, how big is the iceberg? You will never know unless somebody puts their head underwater and says, how big is this? But you and me, we know how big that is. We have the entire world made up just in case somebody asks the question.
And it's funny that you bring that up, and I want to point out for the folks at home that that was unscripted, and the fact that I just set the Blackwood board up behind me, because this is Blackwood, Oregon back here. This is where Dark Green, the Blackwood Chronicles happened. This is where my players played.
Happened. So they're not playing that particular thing anymore.
We haven't played in well over a year.
Wow. I mean, even if I was to, I don't even know if you'd be willing to allow me to sit in and watch a game even. And then I can even do the whole, see, I don't know if you can see it, but you can't. I just said that for the fun of it. But right along here on my screen, it says, chat, where I'd be able to talk to you while you're doing it, ask any stupid questions that I have. But whether it be just sitting in or playing or whatever, I think that'd be kind of neat.
With our history, I would rather have you playing.
Well, there's a bunch of strangers, though. And the way that I am around strangers is I will go quite some time without talking or very, very... Yes. Okay. Once you get to know me, I'm like, hey! Because that is me. I do these things.
I don't remember when you first started playing with us, but when you got going, it was hard to stop you. I mean, it really was.
I'm a fat guy. You put me on a hill, look what happens.
This was back when we were both skinny, sir.
Oh, right.
That there was a day.
Right. Now I'm a fat guy.
Yes. I was a lean, mean, sexual machine back then, and now I'm just a round mound of sad frowns.
I thought you were going to say sad pounds.
Sad, round mound of sad pounds.
That goes with the whole thing. Right?
I'm going to write that down just in case.
Just in case you ever become a wrestler. And in this corner, DJ Allen. And then that's like your introduction.
No, I mean for the show title. This is how real shows work. You're doing stuff, and then you say something funny, and then later on you're like, yeah, that's the title right there. Like last episode, Offensiver.
Offensiver. That was great. That was like a brilliant word that didn't exist until poof, there it was.
And we invented it, and it's great, and it's ours, and it's copyrighted 2013, Bob and DJ Incorporated.
Offensiver. It's even fun to say, like gazebo.
Yes.
Which is not copyrighted, but so everyone feel free to say that.
Well, if we changed the E to an I, so it's gazebo, maybe we can copyright that.
Gazebo. Huh. Do we need meanings for words, or can we just make up random shit?
I think we just make up random shit.
Nice. Now, when I was in the military, I like my military stories. I was working with a crazy friend of ours, Todd Hersey. Remember Todd?
I remember well, I forget what his title was, but yeah, I remember the Todd.
The Todd, yes. He was, it was amazing because I had read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and The Principia Discordia. These are two books that I suggest anybody who hasn't read them, read them. Like, right now. We'll wait. You know?
He was the one that introduced me to the Principia.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing about that whole thing is that when I first met him, he made some sort of a reference to one of those books, and I responded, huh?
You're frozen.
You're frozen.
You're frozen. Oh, there you go. Okay, you're moving again. Woo! Reference to the Principia.
Like, one of the references was, the words of the foolish and the words of the wise are not far apart in Discordian eyes. And one of us said that one. And now, why a stranger would look at another stranger and say that, I don't know. But you just had to know Most Holy Todd in order to know how awesome that was. I mean, that's just the type of thing that he would do. And I responded with the other one, of which, of course, I can't remember right now. And so we just, like, did that thing. You know when two huge guys walk up to each other and they measure each other up? It was kind of like that, but geek style. I mean, we were totally throwing Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy quotes at each other and Discordian quotes at each other, and we're all like, and then throw another one. So it was great, the fact that we both realized that we both read both those books.
You know, he was great to hang out with, great to talk to, great to lead the BC cabal, which is what I was a part of, because BC, second and third letter of the alphabet, combined to make 5. For those out there that are Discordians, they'll get that.
Nice. Snorri.
But he came this close to being perfect, and I'll tell you why he's not.
Uh-oh.
He played... He and his other Ishtar, Ift. He and Ift were playing Dungeons and Dragons one day, and I mentioned that our group, we played vampire and werewolf. Now, I don't remember the exact words he used, but they came out, and I'm paraphrasing here, obviously, those games suck. And I was like, whoa.
Sorry, that just knocked the wind out of me. All right.
I was floored. Now, I don't have any idea if he played him because we never spoke about that after that. I mean, there was no role-playing game mentioning until one day in Okinawa I joined their D&D group for a little bit, which is really... I was way soured in the D&D waters by that time, so it wasn't a very pleasant experience. And they were just... you could tell I was the odd guy that came in 3 months after they started the game, kind of hung around for a couple of weeks and disappeared.
Wow. It's funny that you should say this, because when I was working with Most Holy Todd in the galley, when break time came around, guess what we played?
D&D?
I'm not guessing. Huh?
D&D?
No! It was a vampire CCG.
Oh, the Eternal Struggle!
Yes.
Or, wait, back then it was...
No, I don't know. It was something like that.
It was called the Jihad back then, I think.
The Jihad, yes.
Yeah.
Jihad.
Hey, oh, there you go. You were frozen again for a second. This is going to be odd.
You were frozen. No, here's the thing. Is that... No, you weren't. I think that it's her computer. This is my wife's computer, for anybody who gives a damn. It's all right. If I try to find a setting for this before recording, and I can't. If you wait like 5 minutes, it's already got the bubbles coming up, and then it goes into a shutdown mode. Navy. Oh no!
God damn it. Don't fuck with the set, DJ.
Wait, what's that a map of?
Blackwood, Oregon.
So the Navy just broke Oregon.
Yes. I'll stop messing with the set. I've already messed it up. It's unfortunate.
You like my set?
I do. It's beautiful.
I'm actually in an office somewhere with wooden paneling behind me, but I went ahead and put up this large backdrop here of all this stuff, so it looks like I'm in just a crowded room of my house.
It's wise. It's very wise.
Yeah.
Matches mine.
Yeah.
I'm actually in front of a green screen right now.
Oh, wow. That's brilliant.
And for the one live viewer out there that bought that, you didn't buy that. Don't humor us. We don't need your pity.
You didn't buy it.
We don't need your pity.
Yes. Now, are you comfortable? Are you currently comfortable?
I'm comfortable. Well, I'm fat, but I mean beyond that, I'm comfortable.
I'm sitting in a recliner.
You suck.
Reclined.
We're done.
With Grover. Huh? With Grover.
With Rover.
Grover is my comfy blue Grover-colored blanket.
Oh, Grover with a G.
Insanely comfortable. Grover. It's like... You guys all remember Grover. You remember Grover, right? It's like you shot him in the fucking head, you skinned him, and you're wearing his fur.
Wow. That's some serious
Remember Grover, man.
Never forget Grover. Super Grover. Ooh. Wait, that's Yoda.
Nice.
That's Yoda. I don't even know how to do Grover's
that was the thing. Is that Grover and Yoda sounded exactly the same. It had to have been the same person voicing them. The only difference is that Yoda spoke where he mixed his words up, kind of like Mexican style.
Like this. Up the fuck you must shut.
Very Yoda-y.
No shits do I give.
The hand you must talk.
Oh, geez.
That doesn't sound so lame when you turn it around like that, does it?
No. I believe Chewbacca said it best when he said,
That has got to be one of the best Chewbaccas I've ever heard.
well, everybody tries to do the growl, and I've decided that I wanted to do something different and something I can actually do. Because my best growl... Wait, are you ready? I'm going to do my growl.
Wait, hold on. All right, go ahead. Nothing?
Nothing.
Yeah. There we go.
There we go.
There it
No,
is.
you sit down, you people. You suck. You all suck. That was terrible. No, that's why I do the other one.
The other one's pretty cool, and everybody tries to do that.
Yeah.
I've tried it, and it just makes it sound like I'm gargling.
Yeah. I love that sound.
I smell popcorn.
Oh, I am writing that one down. There we go. That's our tagline. Don't I?
I love that.
Popcorn?
I heard that one time, and I just thought that was the funniest thing I ever heard. Anybody who hasn't heard it, when you fart, especially if it's a quiet fart, you say, "Does anybody else smell popcorn?" And everybody around you goes.
I was in boot camp with a guy, and he was just he's a tiny little guy, but he'd be walking down the middle of the compartment, and he'd bust ass, and it didn't matter who was watching him, how serious the person was, or how badass the guy was. He would fart, jump about 3 feet forward, and look back like he had been stabbed, and he would have everybody rolling.
Wow. Those little guys can really fart. Seriously, I have got friends who do that thing where, now granted, this the show just went to farts. I
I can change that.
don't know what to think about that. But yeah, I've got some small friends who can really like clear a room.
All right.
Effects. Special effects.
Yes, we're pulling out all the stops here because if we had any stops, we would probably stop.
Nice.
I agree. Can you hear the clicking?
Is that the hamster?
That's the guinea pig.
Guinea pig.
Bonsai.
An Italian police officer is guinea pig.
You can say that because you're Italian.
I am. I am so Italian.
I decided one day I was full-blooded Irish. Now, genetically, I'm half Irish, half German, roughly. But I decided one day I'm just Irish. I don't want to be German.
Now I feel bad.
Why?
Because my mother's side of the family is German. And I, too, ignore that part.
Let's ignore the Germans!
People are all like, let's ignore the Germans. They say, well, what is Miato? People ask me if that's Japanese and shit. I'm like, no. Do I fucking look Oriental? But oddly enough,
a little bit. You got the squinty eyes.
I do. I don't know why that is because
I think it's because you're devious.
Because what?
Because you're devious.
Oh, that could be. Yeah. And then if I had a goatee, I'd really be evil. I had a goatee. Because, of course, everybody knows that devious and goatees just go together.
Well,
Black hats and bad guys.
Speaking of goatees, as hopefully as you can tell, I have a goatee.
Yeah.
Now, in all TV shows, because of Star Trek, it's generally assumed that your evil mirror counterpart has a goatee. But if I have the goatee, aren't I the evil mirror counterpart? So there's a good DJ running around out there somewhere?
That's interesting. Yeah.
You may have to watch out for me, Bob. I might try to kill you.
Well, that's happened before. So, Bender. Remember Bender had a twin with a goatee?
No.
The Bendery guy? Yeah.
But I can totally see that now that you said it.
Yeah. I don't remember it very well, so I don't want to talk about it and make myself look like a fool. Because anyone who does watch this, they're like, that's not what happened. And then we'll get like all, I'm never going to watch this again. And the one guy like hangs up.
Oh, I have one guy that if he's got time, he jumps on to watch whatever I'm broadcasting live.
Cool. Is there anybody watching now? Can you tell?
We have one person, and I'm
Really?
pretty sure it's him.
Nice.
But I have no way to tell because I don't have a. You know what? Let me open the Facebook because.
Hey, the guy watching. Hi.
Anyway, that's
pretty cool.
If it's the one I think of, I listen to his podcast, so we're good.
What's that?
If it's the one if it's the one I think it is, then I listen to his podcast. It's really good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you enjoy the show, friend of DJ's. So, back to what we were talking about before, as far as playing Vampire.
Yes.
Of course, we've talked about that with Dungeons and Dragons thing before. Now I could see your map back there. Now, did you use like miniatures and stuff like that for the Vampire game, or was it mostly just a story time?
It was a visual reference so that when they were traipsing around the city, they would know basically where they were at. Most of the action, let's see if I can point at the right one. Most of the action happened in that district right there, which is the Emerald District. Thus the title Dark Green.
Nice.
But the Yeah, I'm very proud of Blackwood, and I was going to start writing fiction in Blackwood, but if I have somebody to run through a game in Blackwood, I would do that. Which, if it's not the person I think watching, it's another person I think that might be watching. And I have to tell you up front, Bob,
Yes.
I tried to get Sean Steele, my Echoes Darkly co-host, two guys named Kevin.
Wait, Sean Steele?
Yeah.
He sounds like a wrestler, doesn't he?
He does, but I can tell you, like myself, he does not look like a wrestler. Okay, so Sean Steele, two Kevins, a Neuren, and Brian.
Neuren?
Neuren. It's a very interesting name. I haven't asked him about it. Anyway, we were going to do what you're proposing, and I was just going to run them through this big story that I had. Surprise, it's an epic. Anyway, it's a military thing, and there's this big mystery thing going on. So I wanted to run them through that. Well, then our ability to broadcast got thrown in the air, and then our meeting times got all screwed up. And now, the last I talked to them, only 2 of them have followed the instructions up to this point out of 4. Now, I designed the original epic for 4 people, but if they're watching, I didn't do it today, but it's probably going to be Sunday. I'm going to send out an email, and we're going to start playing via email, basically, so that I can run them through this thing, and I'm just going to shrink the size of the group that gets needed. I did a lot of pre-planning, basically too much, and I'm gonna start running it because they deserve that. But if some of them, or if the 2 of them that are playing want to jump in on this vampire thing, that would be cool. But we'd have to work out the whole time shift thing again.
You know, people could be just silly sometimes.
I know.
Listen,
bozo.
You know what's funny there?
Not watching the video, you're going to be so confused.
What's funny is I actually use the word silly. That's not a word that I use.
Neither
Ever.
is shtick.
I know, right? I don't know if I...
DJ, drop a beat. Have you seen the Bane Raps video?
Bane? Yes, I have.
There you go. Who's the only person that's beaten me at freestyle? Really? What are you drinking?
I am drinking Voltage Mountain Dew, also known as the Blue Dew.
Now, my McDonald's Coca-Cola collectible glass, while tinted blue, is actually... The what?
Collect the whole set.
Yes, I have. I have several copies of all colors because they do it every year, and we collect a lot of them all year. Anyway, the liquid in here is also blue. It's water with the Mio flavoring stuff.
We have the Blue Mio also. I love the Mio.
It's blueberry lemonade.
Nice. You're not supposed to mix that stuff with things that have caffeine in it, but I'll tell you what, man. You take Dr. Pepper and the red, because red's an actual flavor. I call it red. And you put that in there, you have one good, and another good equals much gooder.
It equals much gooder, yes.
Much gooder.
I can't speak to that in my old age, but yeah. Now we were discussing.
Are you calling us old?
Yes, I am, because you're slightly older than I am.
Hardly noticeable.
Just a little. Well, I know how big your penis is, but why? But what does that have to do with...
They don't.
You shut up. I hate you. We were talking in the show before the show before the show. Does that make sense? 2 shows before?
2 shows before.
Okay. We were talking, and I have recently, well, as of this morning, I have lost my 16th pound.
Your 16th what?
Pound.
Nice. Congratulations.
The funny thing is last night I weighed myself, I took a dump, and then I weighed myself again. I lost almost a full pound. So
Wow.
one could say that I am full of shit.
Well, you were.
Right, I'm not anymore. Yeah. How much have you lost, Bob?
Well, I lost about... See, I don't know. It goes up and down. The scale said that I lost like 8 pounds, but then I put more back on, and it's always going up and down. But I think it's doing the whole like... I think it's working its way down slowly. Summertime's coming up, though. And with summertime comes summer activities. So I will get my ass outside. I have got myself a mountain bike, and me and the Whiffenchild like to go out and ride our bikes.
The Whiff and Chilled. I like that. Well, for those that are looking at the video, on my neck here is a Fitbit. Now, the missus and I, we each got Fitbits now, finally, and mine came 2 days ago. And with the Fitbit, we input all of our calories that we eat and all of that, and it keeps track of our steps and our sleeping. I had to have gotten it just yesterday because last night was the first night I wore it. So I've only got one night of sleeping, and boy, did I not really sleep. But it wasn't the Fitbit's fault. But the Fitbit has made me pay attention to what I'm eating to the point to where it's extremely beneficial. So I'm trying to keep my calorie goal in mind, and I'm just naturally eating better stuff anyway.
I've never heard of that before.
Fitbit.com. They're not a sponsor, but I would totally allow them to pay us to broadcast.
That'd be nice.
It would be.
An alternative would be a shock collar. Wired directly into your food sensors to where, like, let's see, an apple or cheesecake. Apple, 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 and then you eat the apple.
Well, here's... I have a friend on Facebook who is a personal trainer. Now, he gets paid for that, and he's just...
Shock collars.
I told him what I... Say what?
With shock collars? Because I think that's got potential.
It's potential, yeah. But I was telling him... Well, I was telling him what I was doing, and he came back with some other advice. And one of the things he advised was, you know, if you're going to cheat, only cheat on a meal once a week. Well, the wife and I are so good at keeping our calories down that even if I cheat, I'm not over by very much. But the thing I pointed out, like tonight, on my way home from work, I was like, what the hell am I hungry for? Because my wife is out of town. And I can basically eat whatever I want, wherever I want. So my first thought was, let's go to the pita place that I have been eating at that's healthy. Okay, great. No, I don't want to drive all the way up there. So let's eat at Herbert's and Gerbert's, which is a local sandwich place. I think they're a kind of a chain. Have you heard of them?
No. What was it again?
Herbert and Gerbert's.
No. I have not heard of that.
Oh, their sandwiches are so good. Anyway, I'm like, okay, that's on the way. I'll go there. Then I'm like, but I don't want to go in because they don't have a drive-through. Okay. Well, what about drive-throughs? Well, you pass Little Caesars. You can just go in, grab the pizza, and go. I don't want a pizza. Well, at least Caesars pizza. Then I was like, okay, well, there's a McDonald's on the way, Taco Bell, KFC. And I shot all of those down, and I just came to the point where I came home and I threw a frozen pizza in the oven because even though I ate the entire pizza, it was only 1,200 calories. Now you're thinking, oh my God, 1,200 calories all at once? I can still eat 600 to 1,000 more calories tonight.
Yeah.
And you know what my night snack is? You know what my snack is going to be tonight?
What?
A pound of broccoli.
On purpose?
Yes.
You know what would happen if I ate a pound of broccoli? I would immediately uneat a pound of broccoli.
Now, wait. When the wife and when I had dairy issues, I for 3 years I wasn't able to eat cheese or milk or anything with dairy in it at all.
Wait, but now you can?
Yes, it started in late one season, like in October, November. I want to say 2008.
Go ahead.
And and then last year, I think it kicked back. Like I could start eating it again, just out of the blue. So anyway, while I couldn't eat,
Where does strange color for that ability come from?
strange. While I
Because you were able to, like, out of the blue. So never mind.
Oh, yes. I get you. Sorry. Yeah, if you have to explain it, it doesn't work really well. This is unscripted, folks. We're trying. Anyway, while I couldn't eat dairy, one of the, we were trying to find stuff that I could eat. So I never used to eat tomatoes. I eat tomatoes all the time now. Never used to eat broccoli. I eat broccoli all the time. Same thing with cauliflower.
Nice.
And I actually enjoy cooked, steamed broccoli. So...
Oh, I enjoy it. I enjoy the hell out of vegetables. My ass doesn't. My body just seriously takes it all and throws it right back out the back door. So that's not good.
Well, I have a history.
Everybody out there wanted to know that too.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for that update, Bob.
Let's talk about my bowels.
So I'll be eating healthy, and I think a pound of broccoli. Maybe 300 calories. I'm gonna be seriously under tonight because I'm also gonna exercise.
Cool. I got a lot of exercise stuff. I don't use it.
Edna, get the exercise stuff.
have it ready for me. I'll be
ready. Wipe it down. Just make sure the dust doesn't collect on it.
So when I'm asked, why is there dust all over the stuff? Edna was supposed to dust it off.
Oh, you know what, Bob?
Yes.
I have a cat, yet there's mice in the house. What's up with
crazy.
That? I know.
They're not doing their job. You and I have? Oh, I think we talked about it last episode. I have an owl. Or I had an owl.
Yes, in the tree.
He hasn't been there lately. So I think he's gone now.
Maybe he doesn't give a hoot.
Huh?
Maybe he doesn't give a hoot.
Huh. Nice.
That came out of the blue.
I see what you did there. Oh.
Wow. For those wondering, I had two things planned tonight. One, I was going to spring on Bob at the last second, which is still probably going to happen. And the other one we kind of discussed a little bit. What we'd like to do is tell you a little bit of background about ourselves, but we want you to wonder if it's actually true. We're going to call it misremembering.
Misremembering. Not Mr. Remembering.
No,
That's
not Mr.
Totally
Remembering. That's a superhero, Mr. Remembering.
Da-da.
That makes me think about, there was a short web series online called Zeros while Heroes was on TV. They were ordinary people with extremely ordinary powers, like the cheerleader who could stuff her fist in her mouth, and the double-jointed guy. It was just ridiculous. I mean, they were powers, but they were just ridiculous and stupid. It was just it was funny.
I can hold my breath for 14 seconds.
How is that going to help us against the villain?
It can't.
I don't know, but maybe if he releases poison gas, I won't die as fast as you do.
Good call. See, too bad we don't have a whole lot of listeners, because that would be one thing I would like to see. Be like, okay, who can come up with the lamest superpower? Go, and just see what the things come up as.
I actually have a superpower.
You have a superpower.
I do. You want to know what it is?
What's that?
It's the ability to clear a room through odor release. Now, for those who have been in the room...
Spleen!
Yes. Well, worse than the spleen. It makes the spleen look like just needs an air freshener. Yeah, I've actually been in a room and released my secret weapon and have cleared said room. Like, people couldn't wait to get out of the room.
Those are great for crowded places, though. You know, the walking bombs, that grocery store aisle type things.
Oh, there's a term for that. Crop dusting.
I always liked vapor trail.
That one works too, but that reminds me about a story. Me and the wife were in Walmart, and we were she was looking for two things: a ream of a specific kind of paper because she needed it had to be a certain thickness or something, or had to have a pattern on it. I don't remember what the particulars were, but we were looking at paper, and whatever's on the opposite side of the aisle, we needed what was in there too. And I want to say it was like for simplicity's sake, let's just say it was another kitchen utensil. Or a kitchen utensil. So we started with the paper. And she finds her paper, and I saw a few designs and stuff there, like, I'll be there in a minute. And so she goes around to the other side, and I totally crop dusted a good chunk of the aisle. Now, there was paper there that I wanted, but I made sure that I was done looking at it by the time I left. But I crop dusted up and down the aisle quite a bit, and then I got over to where she was at. And I was blessed with the ability to listen to the guy that walked into the cloud I left go, "Ow! Oh, God!"
Nice. See, and that's the type of quality entertainment that we're providing here.
Oh, I'm crying.
Wow, just thinking about it's making your eyes water.
Now, that is not the misremembering I was aiming at.
It could have been.
It could have been.
You just ruined it. Somebody's like, that never happened. Oh, wait, it did.
It did. It did happen. So next week, Bob, Friday.
Yes.
8 p.m. Eastern, because you're on Eastern time. 8 p.m. Eastern. You're going to bring one misremembered story. Now, remember,
okay,
I want people to think, that sounds plausible. Well, maybe not. I want you to sow some doubt, and I will also bring a story.
Okay.
And before I move on to our next topic, like I have a plan. Before I move on, though, I worked with two guys, okay? Chris and Merle. Merle was not the sharpest bowling ball in the drawer.
But he kills the shit out of vampires. Not vampires.
Zombies.
Zombies. Yeah, sorry.
Not that Merle. This Merle was lovable and funny, and anyway.
Different Merle, then. All right.
So he's kind of gullible. Now, Chris decided one day out of the blue to tell Merle that he was a member of the San Antonio Spurs for 3 years, won an NBA championship, and then injured his knee, and then he moved back to North Dakota. And Merle, for like 3 seconds, bought it. Now, Chris and I had a discussion about this, and I actually crossed this with Merle to check, so I'll talk about the Merle thing in a second here, but I explained to Chris what went wrong with his story. And he was all like, Merle was eating it up. I'm like, no, Merle believed you for about 3 seconds, and here's your problem. You said you were a member of the Spurs. Now, at the time, the Spurs were the #1 NBA team. They had won multiple championships. Lots of people, even casual fans, knew who most of the Spurs were at that time that I was being associated with.
Actually, quite glad that you explained that to me because I didn't know who the Spurs were.
And I said, your problem was you chose the Spurs. And he's like, well, who would I have chosen? I'm like, you need to go with the Los Angeles Clippers. And he goes, the Clippers? Why would I have chosen the Clippers? And I'm like, name one player who plays for the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, he is a prolific basketball enthusiast, and he sat there for quite a long time going, I can't name anybody that's on the Clippers. And I said, bingo!
There you go.
Did you serve on a sucking NBA team at that point? Sure. But you're in North Dakota. You're already a step above the rest. So then I went and told Merle, what if he'd have said this? He goes, a little bit more believable. I know who the Spurs were, and I didn't think he would fit into that, but I would have believed the Clippers. So then I came up with a plausible lie, which is how this whole misremembering thing goes. Now you and myself are well aware that I was in the Navy from 1994 to 1997. Yes, you witnessed me in the Navy during that time.
Yes.
One of the misrememberings that I had with a couple of co-workers at another job, I told them that I played Canadian football for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And I injured my knee in the Grey Cup, which is the final game, and I got to sack Doug Flutie in that game.
Now, is that a real team? Is that a real person? Is all that stuff?
Yes.
Real.
Doug Flutie was an American football player who left to go play Canadian football because nobody wanted him down here, and then he eventually came back. But so that was during that time. So it was a recognizable name. And I told them that I was, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders are a Canadian Football League team. So, and I said I was number 44. I was a linebacker. See? Okay, so here we go. Canadian football, nobody's going to check.
Mm-hmm.
Linebacker on Canadian football team. I even gave them my number, which was 44, which I chose out of the blue.
Yeah.
What I have come to discover is that 44 is retired, so nobody can wear 44 anymore. It's been retired since the 60s.
But who the hell would know that?
Exactly. And I never claimed to win a Grey Cup because they lost that game that I claimed. I always said I was in from 94 to 97, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And the reason I'm so large is because I can't work out like I used to because I injured my knee.
Nice. It all plays together.
And I had somebody buying that for a good couple of weeks until they realized, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Because they would hear conversations where I would tell Navy stories, and then they would say, the thing that actually triggered it was, well, when were you in the Navy? Well, 94 to 97. Weren't you playing football then? Maybe.
It was a Navy League.
So that's where this whole misremembering thing comes in. So it was my job to come up with a conceivably plausible story to make me famous, but not so famous that you'd go, there's no way that happened. Like you could say, hey, I was boxing in the mid-90s, and I was pretty good. Now, you don't say I was ranked in the top 10 in whatever weight class. That's too obvious. You can say you were ranked, but not top 10. And you never won a championship. Never, never, never.
Yeah, because that's whoever you talk to, they're probably the person who has devoted their life to memorizing stats and all that type of shit.
Well, the reason you don't want to be a champion is because everybody else kind of gets lost in the shuffle. I mean, you have to do some hard searching to find out for a fact that I was not in the Saskatchewan Roughriders because they never won the championship. But if you say you're a boxer and that you were the middleweight champion, all they have to do is look up that specific championship belt, and they'll find out pretty quickly you were not a champion.
You misunderstood me. I spent 3 years putting things in box. I was boxer.
I've always wanted to do the thing where I never got out of the Navy. Just, hey, I was a CB for this long, and then I got into the SEALs or something and did that. But the SEALs, people that fake being SEALs, they're really hounded by actual SEALs, and I wanted to do it as a funny, not as a I'm really trying to do this. But they go after everybody, so I was like, I'm not even going down that road.
I've heard some things though about the CBs after I got out of the CBs that that just amazed me. One of the things was my dad used to have a boss who was a Marine, and he was saying that apparently all the Marines know the Seabees, not like individually, but the Marines know the Seabees. They know that if you're looking for a good time, hang out with the Seabees because they drink, they fight, and you're guaranteed to get drunk and get into a bar fight. I mean, that was like, they said that the only people in the Navy that they had any respect for was the Seabees and the corpsmen. The corpsmen because if they get hurt, these guys will take care of them, and the Seabees because they're fun. And apparently, like, all the Marines know that shit. I didn't know that.
I have two Navy stories related to that. Oddly enough, both were.
Or do you?
I think these were before I met you, because I'm 99% sure you would have been involved if you would have been there.
Was there an explosion?
Almost. The first one is both of these happened at that country bar that was on the top of the hill in Puerto Rico. Remember that one? You remember
right next to the? I liked that bar. That bar was great. Right outside of this bar, there was Doberman burgers.
Ew! I didn't know that.
Yeah, and
Wait. You're not talking about Papa Joe's, are you?
Papa Joe's.
No, this was the one that was in walking distance of our barracks.
Okay. So that's
so that's not the strip club, not the strip club Papa Joe's, but yeah. Okay. So this is the country bar. I'm just going to call it the country bar because there was a rap bar also, or a dance club. Anyway, me and whoever's around me are drinking like we do at the club or the bar, and a Marine or two comes over, and some of the buddies that I'm with start heckling the Marines, and the Marines start heckling back, and I'm not sure what sparked it, but there was a playfulness going, and then it started escalating quite rapidly because there's drinking involved and people make terrible decisions. But somebody had gotten somebody on base who was not a member of the military. And that bar in particular was on base. You had to be allowed access on. Said individual, large guy, I'll give him that. I'm even joining in the yelling at the Marines. So we're all really screaming and yelling, and drinks are sloshing all over the place. And this civilian comes over and shoves a CB, not me, shoves one of the other guys, and shoves the Marine back like, knock it off.
Wow, good thinking.
We all turned on the guy. The whole argument was over, and that guy realized, oh shit, I fucked up. Because I'm allowed to harass a Marine, and the Marines are allowed to harass me. But if you harass the Marine and you are not in the military, we are both turning on you, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
That's my first story. I did not involve myself in the beatdown that took place thereafter, but the one Marine and at least one CB hauled him outside to introduce him to what he should and should not be doing involved in military bases.
Yeah.
Now, as you were aware of, there is a SEAL camp right next to our camp on Roosevelt Roads in Puerto Rico.
Yes.
Well, there was a SEAL that came up to the bar, and I'm at the bar, and I just got handed my drink. And the SEAL apparently had an issue with the guy standing right next to me. Now, I don't even know if I knew the guy standing right next to me, but I knew he was a CB. Just got handed my drink, and the SEAL says something like, "You CBs are the stupidest fucking people I have ever met." I was in the process, I was drinking. I think it's the only time I've actually done a spit take. So he says that, I'm like, I immediately turned and I walked away. The seal went to the hospital that night, and at least 6 CBs got in really big trouble because I swear the whole bar collapsed on this son of a bitch.
What did you say? I said all these people are idiots.
Now,
that was the record scratching to a halt, and like everybody hears what's being said.
after my spitake, that was the only thing missing was the record scratch because I went.
Now I'll tell you what. This is something cool that I heard about. There's people talking about it, but I wasn't there. I didn't witness it, but I heard about it, and I heard about it in great detail. Wow. I heard that some of the guys came from the battalions in the what are you looking at me like that? Anybody who doesn't know, it's a 4-year rotation thing. So you're in a battalion for 4 years, and then you get moved to another battalion, and you're there for 4 years, and blah blah blah. Well, there's a couple guys who came from another battalion that went to Rota, Spain. They were talking about this.
So bad.
Huh?
I wanted to go there so bad.
They were talking about this bar that they put right on the water for the locals. And I guess at some point a CB was in there and it got jumped. And this CB was hospitalized by the locals. So the captain of that battalion issues a Green's Liberty, where they fired up all the equipment. The captain of this battalion said, "If you guys get caught, I knew nothing about this, but take care of it." So they all put on their uniforms, they fired up the equipment, and they took the bulldozers and all the heavy machinery, and they pushed the bar into the ocean. Like, while it was full of people, you either went into the ocean or you got, if you came out of the bar, they would pretty much like start throwing punches, and if you didn't get out of the bar, you were going over into the ocean. How fucking cool is that? I mean, one guy got the shit kicked out of him. I mean, he was hospitalized, but yeah, they were talking about this like, I don't know if I had just gotten in, but it wasn't long after I was in, I was hearing about this, and there was a few guys who had just came from that battalion. They were telling me about that. That's cool. Huh?
Go ahead.
It sucks that somebody had to get hurt for that, but that whole thing, I mean, just imagining that whole thing happening, where the CO saying, "Guys, take care of it."
There was a group of us that wanted to go and switch to the other battalion rotation because when we were together in NMCB 7, we only went to Okinawa and Puerto Rico at that time.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, having gone to Okinawa twice, I would not do it again. But so we were trying to get on the other rotation. When I realized that wasn't going to happen, I just let it happen. It got out. But there is one other funny thing that happened in Puerto Rico that I think that you should hear about.
Ooh. Now,
I was a barber in the Navy, in case anyone was curious. And let's get all the jokes out of the way for all you civilians that I hear this all the time. All you had to do is shave everybody's head. No. Shut up. Up the shut, you must fuck.
Like anybody who actually didn't know DJ back then, which probably all of you, his hair in the front came out the back of his hat. Or was that Chris? I think it was both of you. We were all doing that shit.
Well, there was two barbers. Well, two main barbers, me and Hargrove. And Hargrove was none of the black guys would let me cut their hair except a couple, but everybody else went to Hargrove. And none of the white guys would let Hargrove cut his hair if I was available. So, and we never set that up, and Hargrove and I just agreed, you know what, so-and-so's coming in here and there. Just do it. But Hartgrove broke his foot in Puerto Rico, and I don't know what he did to do it, but he couldn't make the boat ride over to Viegas Island anymore every week. So once a week, the main barber would go over to Viegas Island to cut everybody's hair over there because they never got to come back over to Puerto Rico, or at least very rarely. Mm-hmm. So every Friday, I would go over to Viegas. I would have to miss muster Friday morning to make the ferry. Otherwise, I wasn't making it. And I would go over at 6:45 in the morning, and I would be there till 7 or 8 at night. It was just terrible. I mean, the island was great, and I didn't have any work to do once I cut everybody's hair. But so we're over there, and when you first get off the ferry, somebody picked me up, and they would drive me down to the quarry. Now, in the quarry, there was 6 or 7 guys. Overall, this detachment had maybe 20, possibly 30 people in it, max. Anyway, they drive me to the quarry, and there's 5 or 6 people in the quarry. The quarry people were not allowed to leave except for lunch. So I would literally be at the quarry for 3.5 to 4 hours. Wow. And not all the guys got their hair cut every week. So, do you remember Pop? He was an equipment operator.
No.
Short little redhead.
I don't think so. I remember a short little redhead. I don't know if it's the same guy or not.
Well, the guy I'm talking about, we had wicked. I mean, that one day I went over there and there was no one at the quarry. I mean, it was literally me and Pop. So we had the largest dump truck I have ever physically been close to. There was a staircase to get into the cab. That was a tall staircase too.
Wow. So
we're just hanging out talking, and he looks at me. He gets dead quiet real quick all of a sudden after I cut his hair, and we're talking, and he gets quiet, and his eyes bug out, and he looks at the truck, and he looks at me, and he goes, "Do you want to drive that?" I'm a white, North Dakota, male, young, plenty of spit and vinegar.
Of course I want to drive that.
Hell yeah, I want to drive the goddamn dump truck. Holy crap. The control panel, I felt like I was sitting in a space shuttle. There was controls all over the place. And you have to be careful with the pedal because the son of a bitch will go. Uh-huh. It doesn't stop as easy. So I'm all testing out things, and that was the event that made me realize that I wanted to get a license for everything that the CBs could drive. That's a story for a different day, though. So Pop and we played on the dump truck. We made sure that I stopped early enough so that when the chief got down there, he was not going to see someone who was not supposed to be driving the truck.
Dub. Yeah, so Dubs. I think that's the equipment operator who let me drive a big dump truck.
Probably.
And that was in Japan, I think. Dubs was the guy's name, I think. He was bald. He had from his military ID, it had a barcode on it. He had that barcode tattooed on the back of his neck.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
But that's not actually the story. That's just the preamble to the story.
Ooh.
When you drive from the quarry to the main camp, it's a 15 to 20-minute drive. So they always bring a deuce and a half down, pick up all the guys, and take them back to the camp. I don't understand why they didn't drive themselves there and drive back when they were done. I never asked that question. But so they come over and pick up me and Pop, and there was 4 or 5 other guys apparently spread out somewhere else on the island. And the chief that was in charge there was there. And I don't remember the chief's name, but he was a short, really stacked, built black guy. I mean, he was easy to get along with. He was fun to talk to. But he was just short, and he was just, I swear to God, he was as wide as he was tall. But not fat. I mean, he was ripped.
Yeah.
We're driving back, and we always went by the same buildings and stuff. So you always see basically the same people. And there was always this really, really, really hot girl out doing laundry at lunch. She was stacked, and she was just gorgeous. I mean, huge, huge tits. Fairly tall, just, oh, she was hot. So we're driving back, and instead of razzing each other about her, apparently the chief had asked her out. And as we were going by that spot, some of us nudged each other, and well, I was doing that, and the guy that I nudged goes, no. And I'm like, what? And the guy points at the chief, and the chief's head just went down for that few minutes and then pops back up. He's dead quiet. I'm like, what happened? And he goes, chief asked her out. Guess what happened? I'm like, well, did she say no? He's like, she's 12.
And she's a boy.
No, it was a girl, but she's 12. She looks like she was 40. I mean,
That's how the Puerto Ricans were.
I know.
It was crazy. It's like, you know how you know when a Puerto Rican girl was of age? She'd have a fucking mustache.
I gotta write that down.
But you know it's true. You're like, hey, that's funny shit. But then you start remembering. It's like, I think he's fucking right.
Oh, you know, we're about at the hour mark, which is where I wanted to keep it. But I have to set this game up for you. You're going to tell your friends, but let me set this game up for you. I thought long and hard about this, and I was pretty sure this game came from you, but the more I thought about it, the less I thought it came from you because of the people I was playing with.
Out of the blue?
This one was out of the red.
Ah.
Okay. The game is Butt Plug. Now, everybody's confused. Butt plug is one word. A butt plug, 2 words, is a sexual device you stick in your rectum. Butt plug is a game, though. One single word. Now, if you were in a group of people that knew about how to play butt plug, everyone had to play. And as you explain butt plug to people, they now know about butt plug and must.
So they have to play.
Yes. So here we go. Someone in a group, and obviously if you're wanting to start this game, you're not going to start it in a group of random strangers. You're going to know that somebody in the group plays. So you just walk up and you say, butt plug. And then the next person must come up with a 2-word response that has nothing to do with a butt plug. So they would say chocolate candy. The next person has to come up with 3 words not related to chocolate candy. And it keeps going up like that as far as you can go. Now, while it is your turn, you are not allowed to speak until you answer with the proper number. So if it gets to me and I have to come up with a 5-word phrase, I have to be dead quiet until I can come up with the answer. Now, everybody else around you can talk, and they can heckle you, and that's actually encouraged to heckle them a little bit. But we used to play this all the time, and at some point we were consistently getting up into the 20s. I mean, it was just...
Wow.
Because we would all start using the same phrases over and over and over again.
Yeah. The disturbing part about that is when you all come running out of a room going, a new butt plug record.
That never happened. But
and everyone else is like, what the fuck went on in that room?
Well, but since we were consistently getting up there, we would start theming it. And we all agreed that theming was okay, but this is how you had to do it. You had to say butt plug movies so that people would know what the theme was. So then you had to come up with all kinds of movie-themed things, posters, quotes, titles, stuff like that. Or you could do butt plug candy, butt plug whatever. So whatever you would say, and then you'd have to start going. Now, obviously, if 2 people in a group are playing this game, others are going to catch on pretty quickly. You shortly explain the rules to them. They then become involved. Now, the order of how whoever goes second, whoever goes third, fourth, whatever, is entirely up to whoever starts speaking first. But once you establish that order is set. So if you, me, and Mr. X over there are playing butt plug, and I say butt plug, if he answers before you do, you're third, period. Now, if you are unable to or speak when it's your turn that doesn't have the answer, you lose. Everybody else wins. Just you lose.
Everybody wins at the butt plug.
While it is your turn, I also forgot to mention that you are allowed one profane explanatory. So when somebody walks up and says butt plug, for instance, you would at that point be able to say fuck. And then you'd have to come up with the two. So now, and we're not playing this on the air, I'm making that clear. I want you to take this game to your friends, and I want you to make people sit there and go, wow, this sounded so easy. We're 7 words into it. This is really hard.
And you're like, hey, that is 14. All right. I mean, you can pretty much say anything as long as it's those number of words, right?
Yes. So, when you start getting into the quotes, you have to be careful because of what the quotes are talking about. Themed things, though, obviously you can't go completely opposite of, like, if I say movies, it's going to be fairly themed, but at some point you're going to run out of simple movie titles and you're going to have to go to the quotes. And then you're thinking about, and what's funny to watch is the newer people especially. You're up into the teens, and they get to them, let's say 13. You see them for the next 15 minutes going. And then they'll sit there and do it again. And you get to point and laugh because it's part of the game. So now you and anyone watching this show knows how to play butt plug.
So now I have to be involved.
If someone was to walk up, if I right now was like I'm not in the game, no, not on the show. No. If I was to right now say butt plug and I meant the game, you would have to be involved, and we would go back and forth until one of us lost.
And you could say anything like blue book with the letter T on the cover, and that would actually qualify for all the letters, right?
Yeah, blue book with the letter T on the cover. Yeah. Now, when I introduced this to some of my coworkers up here in North Dakota, some of the rules got a little bit stricter. Like, it has to exist. So, like, you couldn't just come up with orange fuzzy bunny if you needed a three-word response. I mean,
unless it was literally an orange fuzzy bunny
that everybody knew about, or at least 2 people knew about, because you had to have a 2-person verification. So if you were doing a movie quote, for instance, which is where things got really tough, at least 2 people had to know, yeah, that's the quote. No, he didn't say that. That word was not in there. The quote is exactly what he said. While there's deliberation going on, too, we kind of let that loose up, too. But, yeah, you can introduce that to your friends. Do the base butt plug first before introducing them to the levels.
Basic butt plug. Gotcha.
Or is it butt plug basic?
Fun for the whole family.
Yeah, I was also asked, why butt plug? Now, whoever introduced me to the game never explained it, but I actually thought about it, and this is the explanation I came up with. You use butt plug because it's a word that will never come up in common conversation.
Apparently you don't shop at the same places I shop.
Hey, Bob, how you doing today, butt plug? Yeah, it's just uncomfortable, and everybody stirs that you're really weird. But yeah, that was my explanation, is that it was because that it never comes up in common conversation.
Now, we did play a game while we were working often in Puerto Rico, and it was a great game that we would play with whoever was there, and then somebody would walk over and they would start playing, and then somebody would walk away and they'd stop playing, and it was real simple, and it was themed, like you said. Let's say movies, TV shows, stuff like that. So let's say you say movie Return of the Jedi. Well, that ends in I. So the next person would have to come up with one, Indiana Jones, which ends with S. So then, and so you're just saying these random words back and forth to each other. You know, titles, quotes, actors, whatever. And somebody comes walking over, and they're like, you see them, the wheels turning as they're trying to figure out what it is that you guys are, especially if there's like 4 of you, and you're going like, you know, Metallica, ADU, Alfred Hitchcock, you know, and you're saying like these words, and they're like trying to figure out what it is, and then as soon as they get it, they want to jump in and start playing. So that was one that we would play often while we were working, which it was military working, so you know it wasn't really working.
I hate to disappoint everybody out there, but we did a lot of fucking around in the military.
Thanks, taxpayers.
All right.
You wouldn't believe some of the things you bought me.
Yeah. All right, Bob. You're going to be with me next week. Is that correct?
Yes, Friday at 8 o'clock my time.
And 7 o'clock Central, so he's on Eastern time, so 8 o'clock Eastern. Want to thank you for joining me now, and I'm glad we had such fun. And our viewer left us a while ago. He left us before the Puerto Rico driving around chief story, so
well,
he missed out on some good stuff.
That's sad. He probably just had something to do, and he'll be back later. Long distance high five.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we will be back next week with The Greatest Show Online, which is what this show is, The Greatest Show Online. We are still the only show with that name.
That's pretty cool.
It's the coolest.
Have you figured out what you're going to call this particular show?
Well, do you want to hear the options?
Yeah.
Maybe you want to help. Well, actually, let's sign off, and then I'll give you the options. So.
Sounds good.
All right. Bye, Bob.
Bye, DJ.
And we're done. This is going to make it after the credits. I'm about to tell you a story. Do you remember Frankie Hernandez?
No.
Okay, I'm not sure. I think he was an alpha, but I'm not positive. He's from San Juan, Puerto Rico. His mother's
talking about.
Okay, his mother's house was literally 5 minutes outside the main gate.
My roommate lived there too, and he was like, he worked with him.
Okay. All right. So I went with Frankie and a bunch of the other guys to the rap club. And some of the guys were the white guys who thought they were black, so they did a lot of annoying things that white guys should not do. Anyway, we're at the club and we're all having fun. And then I'd say about an hour afterwards, this girl comes up, talks to Frankie for a few minutes, and then I swear to God, for the next 3.5 hours, Frankie kept getting approached by CBs. They would ask him something. I couldn't hear because the music was so loud. He would say no. You could tell he was saying no, and he would say it loudly, and they would wander away. And then they would come back. Sometimes they would come back 2 or 3 times, but basically everybody was coming up to him. Now, what I deduced on my own was that they were asking him about the girl, which was Frankie's cousin. So I had talked to Frankie earlier on. I'm like, well, who's the girl? And he's like, it's my cousin. Just don't. And I was like, no, I'm just asking because I was trying to figure things out. And he's okay. So right around the 3.5 hour mark, this one guy, I wish to God I remembered his name because I would embarrass him so badly right here on the air. But this one guy, I swear he would come back every 15 minutes. He was back talking to Frankie, begging him to introduce him to his cousin. begging him.
Wow.
Now, and she wasn't that attractive. I mean, she wasn't butt ugly, but I mean, she wasn't. It's not like you're looking at her going, "Yeah." It's like, okay, that's the way I thought of it. So this guy,
a lot and you're a CB.
Well, some of these guys were asking before the drinks really started flowing. So anyway, it's just not my cup of tea. So this guy had come up for what had to be the 20th time. And Frankie just slams his drink down. He says, "You know what? Fuck it." And he walks off, and my eyes bugged out because the guy turns. He goes, "Yeah, yeah." I'm like, "Is he going to set you up with his cousin?" He's like, "Yeah, he's going to set me up with his cousin." And he comes back. He introduces the cousin to the dude, and those two go start dancing, and they're dancing for half hour, 45 minutes, and then they take off. Well, some of the guys that had been asking earlier, they were a little pissed off, but not too much. And then Frankie, he was just in a pissy mood after that. So I asked Frankie, I'm like, and I made sure he understood, I don't want to meet your cousin. I just really curious. Why won't you hook your cousin up with anybody? Is it a family thing? He goes, "No, my cousin's a dude." His cousin had a sex change operation. He was trying to protect everybody from that, and that one guy would not stop. Now, that guy, when he came back, didn't know. We all knew because I had gotten it out of Frankie, and you bet your ass I was passing that information around.
Wow.
He had had sex with her, and at that point, he had a nickname that had something to do with diddling the boy or something like that. It was terrible. He was always walking around pissed off because we were just hammering him about it. So he had sex with a former man.